Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the amazing introduction. My name is Kaitlin Zhang, and thank you so much for having me here today. On Valentine's Day 1991, I want to tell you a little bit of a story. My father had been saving up for a date with my mom. So where do you think he took her? This was in China. Any ideas? So he took her to the first ever McDonald's in Shenzhen, on Old Street in Shenzhen in 1991. And as my father took my mom to this day, he had saved up for months and months, and they bought a small bag of French fries. And this is what they shared for that meal. As they were staring at each other's eyes, they realized, wow, this is an amazing experience. We're eating at a fancy Western restaurant. And years later, I become obsessed with the McDonald's brand growing up. For me, my entire childhood was really obsessed with getting the toys and the Happy Meals. But it wasn't just about that. I realized the power of this Western brand on the Chinese consumer. It was so alluring and emotionally captivating that I decided to dedicate my life to studying and understanding how brands function, especially in a cross-border and cross-cultural context. So how do Western brands work in China, and how do Chinese brands work in the West? Many Chinese people have an American dream. For me, it was the British dream. So I moved to London in 2013. Prior to that, I had worked and studied in Vancouver, Shanghai, and San Francisco. To me, the UK is a country for art, culture, creativity, innovation, and technology. It's a place to meet global citizens such as yourselves who are interested in collaboration and bringing the two countries together. So let me ask you a question. What are the most well-known British brands to Chinese people? Burberry, I heard one. Harrods, yes. Rolls-Royce, excellent. Great. So off the top of my head, I just wrote a couple down. Let's see if you can identify them. So Harrods, the BBC, David Beckham, Harry Potter, James Bond, the royal family, Burberry, Alexander McQueen, HSBC, Tesco's, Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, and Dyson. So these are just off the top of my head. So what about UK technology brands that Chinese consumers might be familiar with? Can you guys think of many? Don't hear anything from the audience. Many of us know that there are a lot of popular Chinese technology brands. Many of you would know companies like the Bats, so Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, and some of you guys might be using a Huawei phone today or a Lenovo PC. So I feel that there is a gap right now in the type of UK technology brands that are in China. So that's where I see a huge opportunity, because the UK is a country for innovation and tech. So when I started my branding agency, Kaitlin Zhang Branding, in 2016, I knew there would be opportunities to establish strong cross-border brands in technology and the B2B sectors, especially financial services and fintech. According to Tech Nation, tech is expanding 2.6 times faster than the rest of the UK economy. Turnover of digital tech companies grew by 4.5% between 2016 and 2017, compared to the UK GDP, which grew by 1.7%. So my mission is to bring UK technology and Chinese capabilities together. We work with some of the top UK technology brands to establish their brands in China. And on the Chinese side, we work with some of the top Chinese venture capital and PE firms to establish their brands abroad. Sometimes we even discover investment opportunities between the two and help our clients bridge that investment gap. So today I want to share with you guys the 3 things that I've learned in the last 3 years running my company. Number 1 is don't underestimate the power of brand Britain in your corporate as well as personal branding. In corporate branding, we find that UK SMEs are particularly attractive to Chinese investors due to brand Britain and the UK's status as a world leader in quality and innovation. According to a Barclays report 2018, 57% of Chinese consumers are willing to pay more for a premium brand that are made in Britain. So some tips for you if you're running a company looking to enter into China. Number one is in your marketing copy, which hopefully is bilingual, you'll address the importance of the Made in Britain brand. You can talk about things like connections to brilliant UK universities, incubators, organizations, and industry leaders. And if it's appropriate, you can put the UK flag on your products and services. Barclays also found that products with a British flag were more likely to be purchased in emerging countries such as China, India, and the UAE. Secondly, it's about personal branding. Many of you guys probably don't really think about how do I bring out the Britishness in your personal brand. Personal branding is very different in the West and in China. In the West, it will start with an online search. How many of you guys have Googled someone this week? Nobody? Most of you, I presume. At some point this month, at least, you probably would have Googled somebody. And before a meeting happens, typically people will take a quick look at other people's LinkedIn, social media, online presence, learn a little bit more about them. Perhaps some of you guys looked me up before this event. It's possible. And then you'll have a meeting, and you'll build a relationship from there. That's in the West. In China, it very much starts from a personal connection. In our talk this morning, we've talked about guanxi, which is the connection and the network that you build in China. And afterwards, what will happen? You'll exchange your contact details on WeChat, right, once you meet them. And after you meet them a couple of times, you'll be able to get a better understanding of the other person, but you'll also learn about who they are through their WeChat moments. So these are status reports that they might be putting up on their WeChat. So what does it mean for UK companies and founders and CEOs and business people going into China? That means that the WeChat moments is a great opportunity for you to demonstrate your understanding of the UK and to share some knowledge about it and share some British humor as well. Inevitably, you'll be using the WeChat moments and people will be seeing and learning more about you through that. There are other social media platforms to consider as well. You might be building your personal brand, including Baidu Baiku, which is the Wikipedia of China, Zhihu, which is the Quora, which is a question and answer forum where you can demonstrate your expertise in a particular industry, and things like Toutiao and press and podcast. These are multiple ways where you can demonstrate your personal brand. The next thing that I learned is how Chinese investors want to invest in UK technology sector. Why should the UK look towards China for funding? One of the reasons that's happening right now is pretty obvious. It starts with a B and ends with an exit. So according to TechCrunch, the European Investment Bank has slashed deals with the UK's VCs and private equity groups by more than 2/3 since the Brexit vote. This massive cut has pushed the UK out of the top spot for the main recipient for European venture funding. But don't worry, everything will be okay. In times of uncertainty, it is good that the UK has always been open and outward-looking. According to a 2018 report by TechNation, in London, 33% of technology customers are based outside of our country, compared to 30% in Silicon Valley and 7% in Beijing. In the first half of 2018, Chinese outbound foreign direct investment has dramatically veered towards Europe over North America. That's Canada and US combined. The value completed in Chinese investment was 6 times higher in Europe, $12 billion total, than in North America. Personally, I'm seeing a tremendous appetite for Chinese investors looking at helping UK firms access the Chinese market. Let's take a look at some of the verticals that are important to focus on. The Chinese government wants to focus on industries such as smart city, artificial intelligence, infrastructure, education, and health. These policies are being led by China's 5-year plan and the Made in China 2025 initiative, as well as the Belt and Road Initiative, among others. According to McKinsey, China's outbound investment will resume its upward trajectory with a focus on manufacturing 2025 sectors and digital technology. China's government in particular aims to be the global leader in artificial intelligence by 2030, a task which requires massive absorption of foreign expertise and foreign data. Eric Schmidt, chairman of Alphabet, which owns Google, predicts that China will be rapidly overtaking US in the artificial intelligence sector in the next 5 years. That's very soon. In the industry, we're seeing VCs investing in fintech, AI, machine learning, autonomous vehicles, IoT, Internet of Things, SaaS, software as a service, e-commerce, and clean tech. Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent are increasingly backing international companies. Chinese VCs target an even split between China and outside of China. Also, I want to note that even though these are the hot industries of today, we're still seeing activities in other sectors that are not as hot as previously, such as VR, virtual reality, and augmented reality. It's not always about chasing hype industries. As long as it's got the right product market fit and you have the proper localization and a long-term view, firms will be successful in China. Institution funding is not the only way. China now has the highest number of billionaires globally. Many high net worth Chinese individuals are diversifying their portfolio to include UK assets, which are perceived to be more stable. This upward investment trend is partly due to China's fluctuating stock market and lower real estate investment returns at home. In addition, technology firms are being seen as a crown jewel of investments by Chinese private investors. But in order to get that first meeting with an investor, you have to build your personal brand, as we've discussed previously. So what are some of the values that investors can bring? Firms that are looking to establish their brands in China are particularly attractive to VCs because they like to lend their expertise. Along with financial capital, Chinese investors can also provide human capital, which is helping you find the right staff, for example, social capital, improving your brand's equity, and introducing you to the right networks. VCs often have an in-depth understanding of the market and your particular industry. Some even have manufacturing and distribution capabilities. For entrepreneurs, these value-added capabilities are so much more than term sheets and valuations. It's not just about the financial resources. The key to finding the right venture capital firm is by researching the firms that typically invest in your geographic location, funding series, and industry. Websites such as Crunchbase and 36KR can identify suitable firms. There are even Chinese books out there that's got the top 100 VCs in China with their email addresses. So if you're interested to learn about this book, come and talk to me after. Once you have done your research, it's worth taking a trip to Beijing, where the majority of China's VCs are, and many of our clients are based. This is because Beijing is a major tech hub with its proximity to the central government and policies. And it has two of China's top universities, Peking and Tsinghua. One cultural difference to be aware of is that Chinese VCs move at lightning speed. I have one particular client, when they see a good deal on Friday night, they will research over the weekend and send out the contracts for funding on Monday morning. So be aware of that. The third thing that I've learned is that China's entry barriers are greatly reducing. And this comes in three forms. Number one is intellectual property. From a branding perspective, I know that many UK businesses are concerned about IP. Chinese people do understand IP differently. China is a first filed, first served country. This means whoever gets there first will grab the IP. UK brands should consult with professional firms to register their trademarks ASAP. China has been improving in the IP area significantly in the past few years. The law is actually becoming extremely clear. One thing that we help clients do is come up with a Chinese name that corresponds with their English name that is a right market fit for the local conditions. And we help our clients, using our partners in Beijing, to register their trademarks. For technology firms, we recommend that you will also do the registration for your tech and inventions as soon as possible. Another tip is to register your .com, .cn, and .cn domain names while you can. These cost less than $100 or £100 per year, so it's totally worth doing. Nextly, the market environment is changing. Every time I go back to China, the first thing that I do is I take out my phone and I download all the hottest apps in China because it's a completely whole different set of apps from the last time I visited. And I play around with them and test them out. Chinese consumers are becoming much more sophisticated, and they adapt to new platforms so much faster than in the UK. That's why it's important to work with bilingual firms that keep up with current marketing perspectives and understand consumer segmentation. They can conduct adequate research on your behalf and help you really understand the local business conditions. Social media is also making it easier for UK brands to reach Chinese consumers. In the B2B sector and as well as in the B2C sectors, you can reach consumers through WeChat, Weibo, KOL, key opinion leader influencer, advertising, forums, and e-commerce. Lastly, there are many specialized professional partners to help you along the way, many of whom you'll meet today upstairs here. It doesn't have to be daunting for you to enter the Chinese market. Of course, professional firms for partners are not just limited to marketing agencies and law firms. Personally, I'm very thankful for the support from many government organizations and other organizations, such as the Department of International Trade, China-Britain Business Council, British Chamber of Commerce, Tech UK, and Tech London Advocates, among other friends. Don't forget, having a Chinese person on your side of the negotiation table does change the conversation dramatically. So, in conclusion, the 3 things that I learned from running my company in the last 3 years are, number 1, don't underestimate the power of brand Britain in your corporate and personal branding. 2, Chinese investors want to invest in UK's technology sector. 3, China's entry barriers are greatly reducing. So today, as I marvel on the power of global brands, much like I did when I was a little child at McDonald's, I believe that there are great opportunities for UK technology and Chinese capabilities to work together. With the right partners, you too can bring your firm into China this year. Thank you very much.